Hello learners, I welcome you all back to this channel. आज हम I remember एक पोएम है आपके सिलेबस में बाय थॉमस वुड, वो आज कंप्लीट करेंगे. ठीक है. So this is Thomas Wood, you can see in the picture. तो इस पोएम में पोएट चाइल्डहुड को रोमांटिसाइज कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. The poet has romanticized childhood as a phase of his life that was filled with ease and timelessness. क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं इस पोएम में कि चाइल्डहुड बचपन के दिन कितने अच्छे होते हैं. ठीक है ना. जैसे कि आप लोग एंजॉय कर रहे हो. ठीक है. बहुत खूबसूरत होते हैं, बहुत अच्छे, बहुत टाइमलेस फीलिंग होते हैं. इन कंट्रास्ट टू एडल्टहुड, जब आप बड़े हो जाएंगे तब यही जो बचपन है उसको आप मिस करेंगे. आपको ऐसा लगेगा कि वो दिन कितने सुनहरे थे, कितने दोस वर द गोल्डन डेज. ठीक है. और आज बहुत ही सहमा हुआ, बहुत ही डल एक एडल्टहुड है जो कि पोएट फेस कर रहे हैं. तो इस पोएम में चाइल्डहुड को लेके पोएट ने बहुत ज्यादा ही रोमांटिसाइज किया है. बहुत ज्यादा एक चीज है नॉस्टैल्जिया. उन्होंने उनकी वो फीलिंग हो रही है नॉस्टैल्जिया कि उनको याद आ रहा है अपनी बचपन की यादों की. ठीक है. तो इस पोएम में पूरे ही पोएम में आपके जो थॉमस वुड है आपका पोएट, उन्होंने यही चीज पुट ऑन किया है जो कि हम अभी पढ़ेंगे और एक एक लाइन को, एक एक स्टैंजा को अच्छे से समझेंगे भी. चलिए. Okay, this is your first stanza where I remember the house where I was born. Poet क्या कह रहे हैं कि उन्हें याद है कि कौन से घर में उन्होंने जन्म लिया है. ठीक है ना. The little window where the sun came peeping at morn. उनको ये भी याद है कि उनकी जो बेड है, उनकी जो बेडरूम है, उनके बेडरूम में एक विंडो था. उस विंडो के थ्रू सनलाइट, ठीक है ना, सनलाइट फॉल करता था उनके रूम में. He never came a wink too soon. He means your son. वो कभी भी ज्यादा जल्दी या फिर ज्यादा लेट करके नहीं आते थे. ठीक है ना. Nor brought too long a day, but now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. So here the poet is reflecting on his childhood days spent in the house in which he was born and brought up. ठीक है. He remembers a little window in his house through which sunlight would peep in. What is peeping? झांकना. ठीक है. झांक के देखना कहीं पे. He would see the sun rising and setting every day at night. इसीलिए इस लाइन पे उन्होंने ये बोला है, he never came a wink too soon. Wink मतलब क्या? ब्लिंक करना. ठीक है. और यहाँ पे मॉर्न का मतलब है मॉर्निंग. ठीक. मतलब वो एक ही टाइम में राइज करते थे और एक ही टाइम में वो सेट भी होता था, हर दिन एक टाइम पे. The poet has personalized the sun by describing it as he. ठीक है. इसलिए मैंने बोला कि he क्या है. he मतलब the sun. इन द प्रेजेंट पोएट क्या विश कर रहे हैं. प्रेजेंट में जब पोएट ये पोएम लिख रहे होंगे तब वो क्या विश कर रहे हैं. He wishes that his life had ended when he was still a child. दिस सजेस्ट्स दैट, ये क्या सजेस्ट कर रहे हैं कि पोएट बिलीव कर रहे हैं कि चाइल्डहुड एडल्टहुड से ज्यादा अच्छा है, ठीक है। बट नाउ आई ऑफन विश द नाइट हैड बॉर्न माई ब्रेथ अवे। इसलिए वो बोल रहे हैं कि प्रेजेंट में वो कंट्रास्ट, वो कंट्रारी देख रहे हैं, ठीक है। चाइल्डहुड कैसा था, बहुत ही सुंदर, बहुत ही अच्छा, बहुत ही लवली, खेलते थे कूदते थे, कोई टेंशन नहीं, कुछ नहीं, ठीक है। जैसे आप बड़े होंगे उतना ही आपको स्ट्रेस, टेंशन, बहुत सारी चीजों के लिए होगा, ठीक है। तो उसको पोएट यहाँ पे समझा रहे हैं कि एट प्रेजेंट द पोएट विशेस कि उनकी लाइफ ही एंड हो जाती अगर बाय द टाइम ही वाज अ चाइल्ड, ठीक है। फिर उनको ये डिफिकल्टी, ये एडल्टहुड की जो ये प्रॉब्लम्स है वो उनको फेस करनी ही नहीं होती। Let's move to the next stanza. Okay, so let's move to the next stanza. I remember the roses, red and white, the violets and the lily cups, those flowers made of light, the lilacs where the robin built, and where my brother set the laburnum on his birthday. The tree is living yet. So here, your violet means purplish flower, kind of purplish bluish color flower. Your lily cups means your lilies. Robin here is a kind of a bird. Robin is kind of a bird, and laburnum here means a tree where which has branches hanging, and in these hanging branches your yellow color flower keeps on swinging, ठीक है। सो laburnum एक ऐसा प्लांट है where yellow flowers keeps on hanging in the branches. So what is the poet trying to say? The poet here, he remembers the beautiful garden in his house, which is full of a colorful variety of flowers. He talks about the red and white roses. Red and white roses के बारे में बोल रहे हैं poet. The violets and the lily cups and a lilac with the robin's nest. Okay, where in that plant or in the tree, the robin has built his nest in the tree. He found flowers so delicate that he believed that they were, made up of light. That's why it's written here, those flowers made of light. Okay. Again, the poet, he remembers the laburnum tree that his brother has planted on his birthday. Okay, he's remembering all the small details of his childhood, what they used to do, what his brother did. Okay, so this stanza shows how children have the simplicity to find and enjoy the little joys of life in nature, where he feels like कि वो यादें, वो रिमेम्बरेंस, वो जो चाइल्डहुड की मेमोरीज है, वो यू you नो know, वो सारी चीजों को वो याद कर रहे हैं, जहाँ पे बहुत सारे चेंजेस हो गए अभी करंट सिचुएशन में। सो ये सारी चीजें तो चेंज हो गई है, बट जो ट्री है, जो उनकी भाई ने लगाया था, प्लांट किया था, वो ट्री अभी भी जिंदा है, इट इज लिविंग टिल डेट। whereas other things, the joyfulness, the childhood, the beauty of the childhood, the innocence of the childhood, all this enjoyment has vanished somewhere, and always been in the memories of the poet. Okay, so let's move to the next stanza. I remember where I was used to swing and thought the air must rush as flash to swallows on the wing. My spirit flew in feathers then, that is so heavy now, and summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. So here, your swallow means is it is a kind of a bird. Swallow is a bird. Okay, and feather, you know what feather is? Wings, soft, light part of the body of a bird, which is your wings. Okay, and here the poet uses fever on the brow, which means suggestive of misery and gloominess. Okay, he's contrasting this few lines with the last three lines where he says that the current situation of the poet, which he feels is so heavy that the he can't carry वो एडल्टहुड के बोझ को नहीं कैरी कर पा रहे. ठीक है. So here the poet talks about the carefree life of childhood. ठीक है, जहाँ पे वो swing करते थे. He remembers the swing from his childhood. Swing means झूला झूलना. Okay, which could lift both him and his spirits up. क्यों? We How is the swing moves? It moves to and fro. Okay, so when it moves to and fro, so he feels so enthusiastic. He feels like he's flying somewhere. His spirit is flying somewhere. Okay, out of joy. While enjoying the breeze that he could experience when he was on the swing, he wonders if the swallow bird also felt the same rush of air while flying. Okay, so जब ये झूला झूलते हैं टू एंड फ्रो ये मूव होता है तो हमारे में क्या वो एयर आके it gets rushed into our body, it gets into our flesh and we feel the air. Okay, it makes us feel so joyful. So he wonders, the poet wonders whether the bird swallow when it flies, whether he feels the same spirit or not. As a child he was free from the burden of the adult life. So the deep in the summer pool that could cool him as a child, it could barely do the same now in his adulthood. Okay, so जब घूम फिर के इतना सब कुछ करके when he used to deep inside the summer pool, he used to feel so fresh. But he wonders whether that deeping inside the pool would give that refreshment till date in the during his adulthood. Adult burden would go down or not. Okay, so okay, so let's move to the last and final stanza. I remember the fir trees dark and high. I used to think their slender tops were close against the sky. It was a childish ignorance, but now this little joy to know I am further off from heaven than when I was a boy. Here, your forestry is forestry with a leaves. These trees has the leaves of a needle. Okay, so we find this kind of tree in a hilly, mountainous areas. Uh, Mountainous areas, and then here slender means delicate. Okay, your top symbolizes with the tree's upper part of the tree. Here, this meaning is this. Here, heaven is symbolized with your sky. Okay, so let's understand the last stanza. Here, the poet talks about how a child he used to, when he was a child, he used to think that the top of a far tree almost did touch the heaven. Okay, now heaven here means your sky. Okay, now as an adult, he knows better. Hmm? But there is no joy in knowing that heaven is further away from what he had imagined it to be as a child. तो हम ऊपर नीचे से अगर हम देखें, even if we look in this picture which I have provided here, okay, so if we look even in this picture what we see, नीचे से अगर हम ऊपर देखें तो ये लगता है कि ये जो ट्री है this is touching somewhere the sky. It is touching the sky. So a child could feel that. But now, when I am an adult and I have a sense, I can understand everything what's going inside, what's going outside in the surroundings, everything. I'm in my senses now. I can understand everything. I'm in my adulthood. Now it feels like that no, it is what I have imagined. It is farther away from the sky. The distance between the tree's top and the sky, it's huge, right? Ignorance is bliss. So children do? They ignore. They say things what they imagine. They say things in their innocence, right? So the poet tries to say that those ignorance in the childhood, it was a bliss which is the reason behind the happiness of children. So children are why they do so happy, why the children are so happy, because they're ignorant about everything. They're ignorant about what people say, what people do, the burden of the life, you know. They know nothing about the things going on outside. They are so chilled, they're enjoying their life, they're ignoring. So and as we grow up we start, you know, हम हर चीज को एनालाइज करते हैं, हम हर वर्ड को, लोगों की हर एक बातों को एनालाइज करते हैं, हर एक चीज को एनालाइज करते हैं, एंड we forget our innocence, we forget the presence of joy in us. So what these ignorances to do, they are protecting from the harsh reality of life. Okay, this ignorance what they do, they protect us from the harsh reality of life. So this is what the poem is about, and such a beautiful poem, I would say, by Thomas Wood, where he says that childhood's happiness he has contrasted, the entire poem's sense is of nostalgia, where he feels that the childhood was a complete bliss of a person's life, and as we grow up we start losing the innocence, the enjoyment, the things that we used to have in a childhood, and उसको थोड़े थोड़े तरीके से हम छोड़ के we fall in a trap which is called an adulthood. Okay, I hope you have understood the entire poem, and thank you for listening the entire lecture, and I hope you have understood every single line of the poem, the stanzas, the meaning. I have tried my best to put and make it as simple as I could. बाकी अगर आपको कोई भी प्रॉब्लम आ हो तो आप है अगर कोई भी प्रॉब्लम आपको आप कमेंट में बता सकते हो, and in the next class I will be sharing the question and answer of this particular chapter. Thank you all and stay tuned for the next video.